everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Kate Hamilton Health Podcast. I am your host, Kate Hamilton. So before we get into today's episode, I just want to run through my one-to-one online coaching. So I am offering one-to-one online coaching at the minute, very limited spaces because that it is really hands-on coaching. So what you get is it is totally personalized. We would meet once a week on Zoom. We agree on your weekly targets. You get a personalized workout program for the gym or for at home, personalized nutrition approach. So I'm going to meet you where you're at and we take it step by step. We're going to address other lifestyle habits that might be blocking you on your journey a little bit. It is totally led by you, but it will be guided by me. So we change things as we go and as you grow. So where we start, we stay there for as long as you need, and then we work forwards and making steps to get further along your journey as you're ready. So it is totally led by you and meant to be in a non-stressful environment. So it's an extremely holistic approach to health and fitness. So it incorporates my experience as a nutrition coach, as a health coach, and as a personal trainer. So if you'd like to learn more about it, please do contact me on Instagram, on Facebook, or on TikTok at Kate Hamilton Health, or you can email me at katehamiltonhealth@gmail.com and we can book a call and have a little chat about it further. Anyway, so this is episode 10, and on this episode, we are joined with the fabulous Gilly Bowles of Gilly Bow Wellness. So Gilly is a qualified yoga teacher, personal trainer, and certified mindfulness and meditation coach. She's currently studying to be a life coach as well, which is amazing. I can't wait to hear about it. Gilly is from Greystones, County Wicklow, and she's already had such a positive impact on the community with her really positive social media, her yoga classes, her journaling challenges through lockdown, and she's just absolutely fantastic. So welcome, Gilly, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Not at all. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the introduction as well. It's always so lovely to come on any kind of platform and to just speak with kind of like-minded people and to just discuss the whole kind of wellness, fitness, just the well-being industry. So thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Thank you for coming and giving us your time. So first of all, I suppose if you could tell us a bit about yourself, your story, your journey to where you are today, that would be great.
Of course. So my whole career up until kind of lockdown and COVID was always in the office kind of world. So it was always in HR and recruitment. And kind of up until 2017, maybe I wouldn't have had any background whatsoever in kind of fitness or wellness. And I just gradually kind of came into that world by going to a local gym, and I found a huge love for mostly the feeling that exercise kind of gave my mind, and then the added bonus of it over time eventually affecting your overall kind of outer body. But for me, that was a huge kind of starting point for wanting to change my career path down that road where you can naturally help your mindset in the kind of busy world that we've had. I went away then to Australia on a little adventure, and when I came home I was like, I'm going to maybe take this time before I jump back into a job to actually pursue a career in personal training and learn a little bit more about what it actually is that you're doing in the gym. Because I always knew that you'd probably go in and you'd maybe do squats or weight lifts or circuit training, but what it actually was doing to the muscles and what your diet kind of, how it had an impact on your overall well-being. So I studied with Elite, and they're out in Blackrock, and I did my personal training course with those, and it was brilliant. It was really good, and I subsequently went on to work with F45 for a while, and I did an internship in a local gym, and I absolutely loved it. But I found for me, I still struggled with my confidence in that kind of projecting my voice and kind of coaching in that kind of aspect. So I felt that I needed to try a more holistic kind of way. I knew I wanted to help people get that feeling where they felt kind of safe, empowered, and had a positive impact on their body. But I felt like that wasn't the right place for me. So I was like, okay, yoga, maybe that will be where I'll find that I can fit in and I can still make an impact and it's good for you and it makes you feel happy and empowered. So I studied with a lovely lady called Rena O'Flynn. She's amazing. She's up in Dalgany and she teaches small groups to do their 200-hour teacher training. And she teaches Ashtanga yoga, which is a beautiful, beautiful practice. It's a set sequence. It's the same if you were to do a class here in Greystones or in Bali or in the UK or Portugal. It's the exact same class you go to. And I remember during my teacher training, I was like, gosh, okay, I'm definitely not the most advanced here at this. And I found the practice difficult, but I enjoyed it. And I had a chat with Renoch at the time, and I was like, I think if I end up teaching, I'm going to have to do my own type of flow, because I couldn't teach someone Ashtanga to the level that you kind of might need for the practice. So she was like, you teach at whatever level. So I was like, I think beginners is for me, and I'm going to do my own interpretation and try and find my own little niche and my own kind of community through that. So that kind of led me to my own Gilly Bowles yoga. And that essentially is an extension of a wellness page that I started during COVID. So it all started really from that initial page where I was just sharing my thoughts on different things. I started a journaling challenge, and I started a community from that online platform, which is now turned into a yoga platform as well as a kind of wellness page. So that's my kind of loop of a journey from customer service and sales to trying to open up my own little niche yoga platform.
That's absolutely amazing, and it's so inspiring. And I think it's really, really, really important what you said there about that. First of all, about confidence in the gym, because I think that's something that everyone suffers from, including personal trainers. Everyone's trying to find their place, and a gym can be a big, loud, scary place where it can be really hard to kind of tune in with yourself and to connect with your clients. It can be quite a stressful environment. And then even, as you say, going into then the whole yoga space. And it's funny how we all have that imposter syndrome, and we all kind of struggle to be like, oh, am I good enough to do this? Am I good enough to teach this? And I think it's really important to make the point that you don't have to be perfect at something. You don't need to be the best at something to teach it. All you need to do is really have a passion for it and be able to connect with people and really, really care. And I think that's just so important, and how you make such a big impact in people's lives is by caring and connecting and sharing what it means to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I always say that in my classes, and I know you've been to a few, which is so lovely to have you on the mat as well.
Yeah, I love them.
That I make mistakes during class. I fall over, I lose my balance. And I think it's important for me to say to anyone that comes to join my class that there's certain poses that I can't even do. And on any given day, I'll say to you girls, like, I can't touch my toes, and that's okay. Like, it's okay.
Yeah. And that we're all on the journey, we're all learning, and that you're on your yoga journey, you're further along than me or any of your clients, but that, it's a lifelong thing, and you don't just suddenly get to a place where, oh, I know everything, or I can do everything. You're always learning and you're always progressing. And that's what's exciting about fitness, I think, in general.
Absolutely. I think it's really important in your industry, which is the PT, the fitness, nutrition, if it's in yoga, Pilates, is that with anything in life, you only literally have to be a step ahead of someone to kind of help them. And I always like to give the kind of analogy. It's like you were climbing a mountain and you were literally a step ahead of someone else. You're enough ahead to just help pull them up that extra step.
Yes.
So that's all you ever.
I love that.
And sometimes I think we feel like we have to get another qualification or get another X, Y, and Z to be able to have the cert to teach or the the next best thing to kind of teach, but you literally only have to be able to be a little bit ahead, whether tiny bit more knowledge to help someone in some way. You've no idea of an impact of just a tiny bit step ahead can be,
Exactly. And I think it's really important just to take what you have, the skills you have, the experience you have, and share it and use that and just start. Because once you start, you can, like, it's not, that, like, you go and you get a degree and that's it, you're qualified, and that's it, you never have to learn again. Like this, especially in health, fitness, wellness, you have to constantly learn, you have to constantly stay with what's relevant, and there's always more to learn. And it's really important to not wait to get to that stage and just to share as you go.
Absolutely, 100%. It's the first step is always the scariest step in the world. And I remember when I was doing my teacher training, the whole way through it, even though I was definitely maybe the least advanced person in my class, I was like, the second I finish, I have to start, because if I don't start teaching right away, I won't do it. And I knew myself well enough to know that I wouldn't do it, to the point that I actually had a consultation with this wonderful lady called Deborah Powell, who's on Instagram. And I had an hour-long consultation with her, and the most beneficial thing, apart from her advice, of course, was we set a date, and I had to put a post up on Instagram to advertise my first class. And the 2 or 3 days before, she was like, are you ready? We're going to do it on this day. And the morning of that day, she emailed me being like, what time are you doing the post? Haven't done it yet. When are you doing it? And that accountability to have someone, whether it's a friend, a family member, or like me, I actually went to someone to have her be like, come on. She is, to this day, I still thank her for being the person that was like, come on, put it up. You need to do it.
I think that's so important for everyone to have an accountability coach. Like you said, it can be a coach that you hire, like a personal trainer, or like I had a business coach for a while, that you've someone who's kind of walked the path that you're walking and helps you along. Like you said, that's one step ahead up the mountain, whether it's fitness, whether it's personal development, whether it's your career, or whether it's just a friend that's doing it. It's just, it's so important, because it's so easy to just have that shaky voice that tells you, oh, you can't do it, or, and we all have it. And it's to be able to become stronger than that voice. And sometimes you just need that friend or that coach to be like, no, get that post up, or go to the gym, or do this, whatever your goal is, that you've someone there to be like, right, come on, step out of your comfort zone. You're never going to grow there. And just, that little nudge.
Absolutely. It's so needed. I only bumped into her the other day, and I just gave her such a big hug, because I know without her doing that day, and to her it mightn't have even been a huge thing for her, but for me to get those 2 or 3 messages and make me do it made me be where I am today. Do you know that way?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it also kind of has a knock-on effect when you have a coach. Like, for example, I started doing your yoga classes. I used to do yoga years ago, and kind of obviously life got busy, and then suddenly I wasn't doing it anymore, and I really missed it. And I always loved that connection with myself that I would get from it. Then obviously I'm strength training quite a lot lately, which makes you stiff when you don't make time for your mobility work, which I tended not to, because, having 3 kids, it's always crazy busy. And I was like, no, I need, and, and I would know how to do sun salutations, and, I'm like, I could do a little yoga practice at home. And I'm like, come on, Kate, you're never going to. So just go join a yoga class. So I love coming down to your class on a Sunday morning, and it kind of it closes off my week in a really nice way, and starts my new week in a really nice way. And I find now that I'm doing that, I'm meditating more at home. I'm doing more mobility work, and it has a knock-on effect. Once you just start something, and you have that there in your regular routine. So every week I'm coming to your yoga class, it's making that part of my weekly routine now, and it's making me want to do more.
Which is so lovely. I know. Which is so lovely. I know. A little kind of safe community that you have to kind of come into. As you say, pop it into your routine, make time for yourself. I find it's so hard to practice at home on my own, and I myself go to other people's yoga classes so I can practice with other people, because sometimes like I'll do 20 minutes and it will only be 10, but my phone will go off and that will take me away from that. Or someone will knock the door.
Yes.
I have to, for me, go to classes where I'm around people to ensure that I'm still learning, I'm still practicing, I'm still taking the time to do it as well.
Yeah. And it is so important to make that time for self-care. And this is what I say to my clients all the time. I know a lot of the listeners here are busy mums, they're busy professionals, a mix of both, a lot of busy ladies that find it hard to make time for themselves because they're so busy looking after everyone else, or, and such a busy work life, that I'm kind of always trying to stress how important it is to even just take 10 minutes, if that's all you can manage, and just lock yourself in a corner somewhere and try and give yourself that little bit of time, even if you have to go and drive somewhere. Sometimes I actually go out in my car just to get away from my 3 kids, just have a little, but like I said, come to your class because it's at home, I'm interrupted. But even sometimes just to go for a drive or just a walk down to the beach, and whatever it is, just to get away, switch off, have that time for you, is so, so important. But yoga is a fantastic way if you have a little bit of a practice that you don't need to go anywhere, just find a corner and
bring the batter roll out.
Take some time out. Yeah. So I suppose, since we're talking about yoga at the minute, will we go into, I'm interested to know what your definition of yoga is and kind of how it's changed your life, the benefits, and maybe some simple habits that we could incorporate at home if we've got listeners that aren't in a position to come to a class. That's a lot in that one question, but
yoga for me is something that is taking a little bit of time to just reconnect in with your body, just through conscious movement and just connecting your breath with small movements. So they don't have to be too complicated, and you don't have to go into those inversions or those back bends and the bigger, more beautiful poses, but it can simply just be taking a few moments to sit and just raising your hands above your head and just allowing yourself to take the space around you. Sometimes that small action can be so empowering, just to bring your hands above your head, take a deep breath, because we breathe so shallowly and so quickly day to day, so we're always on the go. I think sometimes we don't allow ourselves to sit in the space and be present. So for me, it's taking some time out of a busy life and letting myself unweave and unravel this call through that slow breath and movement in a space. It took me a long time to find the type of yoga that I like. I have a really busy mind, so I found that my own yin is so beautiful. The slowness of the practice sometimes left me too much space to overthink. You might hold poses for an extended amount of time, and I only would be allowed to kind of have my mind quiet for maybe 30-40 seconds, and then I'd be rushed with that thing I said 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know if that's my type of yoga. And then there's obviously the more advanced types, like my Ashtanga. But when I went to those classes, I found that I was almost get upset with myself at how I couldn't do certain poses, and I felt like and we're not at a good level. So it took me some time to find that I needed the balance between energetic kind of movement where you could kind of leave your thoughts aside for a few moments, and then other times where you can reconnect in with the breath. So I try to have my class where I'm moving a lot, but there's certain poses and breaks where you can take that walls as well, and allow yourself to settle into the body. That's kind of where I kind of found, hopefully by the end of the of a class, that somewhere between beginner and movement, so you have a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's a lovely combination. It really is. And I find personally that I need the bit of movement to be able to connect in with myself. I can't go from rushing in and sitting down and then suddenly having to quieten my mind. So I need that movement. It's like, you know, with like in your yoga class or in the gym, I need the workout, and then my stretch afterwards, I'm able to connect with myself then. Or even when I go for a walk, I live in Kilcool, so I walk down to the sea and I get a really good fast paced walk down, and then I'll walk all the way to the end of the beach and I'll sit there. And I have this lovely, really quiet mind where I'm able to connect with myself. Whereas if I drove down and just sat on the beach, I don't have the same experience. So I think the movement, getting your energy flowing through your body really helps. It quietens the mind, first of all, because you're concentrating on what you're doing. And then because the energy is flowing, I just think it just naturally, then it's so much easier to connect and to quieten your mind.
Absolutely. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was about like dopamine and serotonin, and they said when you get the most kind of dopamine release is when you have to kind of actively work for something. So say you definitely can get it release from your phone, and you can pick it up and open it and you'll get that because you get that kind of rush. You don't have to do too much to get that. You literally just have to open your phone and you get that small kind of buzz, and you're like, oh, but I find for me that if you walk a little bit and exert energy, like you kind of power up and down to the beach and then sitting, you have to do that walk that's maybe a little bit uncomfortable because you have to put some effort into it. And then when you sit, you get that rest because you've done something to get it. And I kind of like to put that into my class. There is definitely some movement, and you're burning a little bit of energy and you're creating a little bit of heat. And then you'll rest and you can kind of settle and let that energy go. So that's where I kind of like that, the balance between the two. And it's with you and your PT, you might do a really hard session and then you'll feel a lot from that for a little bit longer because you've put a lot into it, and you kind of get that reward and that happiness from the amount of effort you've put into it. It's not easy doing your squats and your deadlifts and your weight sessions, but when you've done it, you're like, yes.